And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Bob, I know you've been out on the water this summer in your boat that you got at Madisonville Marine. How happy are you with your G3?
I'm very happy with the G3, but the fact that we always tell everybody it's a G3 means when they go by my crappie hole and see a G3,
they know it's you.
Yeah, I've got it's a S3. Yeah, that's my boat.
Shoot,
very happy, tickled to death.
And that was a used boat too. And
yes, it was.
And there was some sort of factory issue with the seats, I believe.
The factory, they had a problem with the seats that were manufactured. Take it back down to Madisonville Marine, and brand new seats were put in for a 4-year-old boat. So there you go.
There's nobody finer if you're looking for a boat. Madisonville Marine. That's all we need to say. All right. Let's get back into our SEC preview. We're going to talk about the Florida Gators. Florida finished 4-8 last year. Just an amazing decline due to a lot of injuries down there. But my big question for the Gators, with new offensive coordinator Kurt Roper taking over, can the Gators create enough offense to save Will Muschamp's job?
No, I don't think they will. I think their schedule is very difficult. I do think Driscoll, if he stays healthy, has a chance to be a pretty good quarterback. I think his receivers are okay. I think they're actually pretty good running back. But I think his offensive line's just okay. The defense has lost some good people. I don't think the defense is as good. I think 8 is, if they don't get to at least 8, he's gone. I think it's going to be hard to get there.
I think they are the biggest question mark in the SEC because I agree with you, but you could also see with the talent they got, it could be a 10-win team.
They could pull an Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the talent to be able to do that. But I don't think I agree with Jimmy. I don't think they will, but they are the biggest question to me.
Tennessee fans have bad history with watching coaches try and save their careers by bringing in new assistants, new coordinators. I mean, bad vibes. I won't even mention the names. Right now, the Florida coaches are saying they're very happy with the skill position players. That's something I've harped on since the Tim Tebow days. They have not, despite all the 4 stars they've signed, they have not developed running backs and receivers. Right. And to me, if they really do have running backs and receivers to help Jeff Driscoll and Kurt Roper gets that going, okay, I could see it. But for me, I doubt it because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them produce them.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder about the receivers, and you can't help but wonder about the team chemistry too. When so much of your talent is on defense and the offense just continually doesn't get it done, I would have Florida at 8.5 total wins.
Okay, I might go a game less than that. I might go 7-5. That one's pretty close, though.
I'd go under.
Okay, under on the 8.5. Mm-hmm. All right. See, at Vegas, all the money be coming on the wrong side. You need to shift the line.
It's called 1-800-CHUCK.
All right, the next one we have is Alabama. It's Chuck with like 8 Ks or something to fill out the all right. We move to Alabama, picked to reach the college football playoff. But I simply want to know, are they being overrated? Saban always builds a winner, we know that, but they've got a couple of guys to replace on the offensive line. We don't know a thing about their quarterback. Everybody thinks this Coker kid from Florida State is going to win the job and be fantastic. He didn't start at Florida State. Granted, they had a Heisman winner, but we don't know anything about him. Are they being overrated simply because they're always so good?
I'm going to say they're being a little bit overrated, but they always are so good. And so it's hard to go against that when you see that when they lose players, first-round draft pick players, the drop-off in the guys that are replacing them is not much. And plus they got T.J. Yeldon and what's the other running back's name?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry. Can't even read my own notes. I think that they will be fine, national championship fine, I don't know, but I think they'll be good.
The thing, but we don't know much about Coker, you're right. We didn't know much about Manziel or Nick Marshall or Cam Newton either, for sure.
Yep.
However, I think those are exceptions. I think they're overrated. Are they really solid in a lot of places? Yes, they are. But their offensive line, I don't think is going to be quite as good. Their defensive line, they've lost a lot of people. Their secondary it's all right. I don't think their defense is going to be as good. Their offense, to me, is going to take a step back just because of quarterback. So I'm going to say they're overrated. I think they're borderline top 10. Now, most people have them in the top 5.
Right. Yeah.
So I think they're a little bit overrated.
It would not shock me if they lost 2 or 3 games this year.
Me too.
Well, and that makes sense. And also, I think a lot of people are remembering how those last 2 games went for Alabama. I mean, the field goal return for a touchdown and then getting just waylaid by Oklahoma. But I think a lot of the totals would have Alabama at 11 wins. I've got them at 10.5. You know,
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's good. Next one, Auburn, and you just mentioned how they beat Alabama. They also beat, you see it right there, they beat Georgia on a tipped Hail Mary. It wasn't just a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary that the Georgia players had to tip forward. Auburn won 6 games last year by 8 points or less. I want to know, will the Tigers get the bounces and breaks they did a year ago, or will they even need them?
No, they will not get them, and yes, they'll need them. Their defense was bad last year. I mean, they had a bad defense last year.
Like most spread teams always.
And lost players off of a bad defense. Now, I think, could they win 9, 10 games? Sure they can. But their defense wasn't good, and if you're not getting those breaks, what were they? I mean, they could have been a 7-5 team last year.
Yeah, could have been 8-5.
So I don't think you get the breaks like that 2 years in a row, plus you need to improve a bad defense.
I agree with Bob. I think that they were fortunate to beat Mississippi State.
Yep. And Washington State.
Yeah, so they had some games along the way. They're not going to get the breaks they got, and therefore I think they'll take a step back a little bit. I think the bounces will even out a little bit for them. Still a team that is going to contend for the West Division, but I don't see them winning the SEC or contending for a national championship.
And I said spread team, I meant up-tempo. Those up-tempo teams, they typically have bad defenses. I mean, until you see differently, I think that's part of the MO. Chuck.
The upside of Auburn to me is with so many quarterbacks gone from last year that were top players, you get Nick Marshall coming back. And remember, this Auburn team had 444 rushing yards against Tennessee last year. I still think they're pretty good. I'd have the over and under at 10.
I think that's fair, too. You're all over it today. All right. This one goes in the time capsule for Chuck. All right. When we come back, we got some interesting data. You may have seen it behind Chuck over here. We're going to talk about home field advantage in the SEC. Startling numbers about Tennessee on the road, which we'll look at. And we'll talk about Tennessee. We'll give you their one big question. Come on back on the Sports Source.